gang! So in today's video I'm going to be making some teeny tiny food. A few weeks ago I made some teeny tiny cutlery and crockery, as you can see here. But it's not really much use without any food, is it? So today I'm going to be making some tiny food. So let's have a look at the menu. So on the menu today we have salad with a side of bread, and then for pudding or dessert for those in America we have profiteroles, which are a sort of a fancy French dessert which frankly I'm not sure I can accomplish, but why not give it a try, guys? Have confidence in yourselves. I'm not sure I have confidence in myself, but let's get going. Hey, so I'm in the crafting studio, office, lounging area, library, gym, bat cave, just all the things. And I'm going to try and make some tiny salad items out of foam clay. Will this work? I've had some problems with foam clay in the past. I don't really trust it, so I'm not sure. But I've got quite a lot of it left, and as you know, I do not like to waste things. So we're going to try and make something happen with the foam clay. So first up, I'm going to try and make some tomatoes. I did have a go before and then made some large tomatoes, which I didn't think looked bad. But the problem being, like, what sort of maniac makes a salad and just like hurls whole tomatoes in there? I mean, maybe some of them tiny cherry tomatoes, but not like just a large tomato. Like, absolutely wild. I mean, maybe you do. I have seen people eat them like an apple, which is quite a choice, but I mean, I guess there's no real right and wrong way to eat tomato, is there? But just hurling one into a salad? No. So I think what we're going to do is go with slices of tomato, because I feel that's more of like a normal person solution to putting tomatoes into a salad. I mean, I don't know why I'm suggesting normal people should be doing things, because I am A, not what I'd classify as normal, and B, I can't eat tomatoes, so not really why I have any comments or thoughts on the matter. But anyway, I'm going to use some red foam clay. I'm basically just going to take small balls of this and then roll that up. And then I'm just going to basically flatten them into discs. Nothing very exciting there, just a disc of red foam clay, and we're going to let them dry, and then once they've dried I'm going to try and put on, like, you know, the seed pan in the middle of the tomato? I'm just going to try and add that in. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do that with paint, or I've got like some gel pens that I might be able to use. I'm really not sure. We're going to see what they look like when they're dry, so I'm going to make a few more of these and then we're going to see what happens there. I'm also going to be adding some cucumber to the salad, so we can be really basic with this salad. I'm just using tomatoes, cucumbers and lettuce. That's not really how I would make a salad in real life. I like to put grapes in my salad. Is that a thing you're supposed to put in salad? Who knows? Who cares? I like grapes and I'm just going to eat what I want. But we're going to add some cucumber to this salad. I was just going to go with like little green discs like I'd done with the tomatoes. But the thing is, while cucumbers, you think they're green, don't you? Because they are green. Like if you look at just a whole cucumber, it's green. But like the middle's normally white or like very light green. So I think I'm just going to use some white clay and then like roll that into a cucumber shape. Biscuit tube. Technical as always. A tube of white clay, and then I'm going to try and wrap that in some green clay. I'm not really sure quite how this is going to work. I'm basically just going to like roll some out and maybe I'm going to try and put it like, maybe make a little bit of a sheet so I can sort of like wrap it around it. Just you know, a normal Saturday morning, wrapping foam clay around each other in a desperate hope of making a pretend cucumber. Yeah. As previously commented on, I have no interest in being normal. Why would I want to do that? So there we have something vaguely resembling a cucumber or a worm. Who knows? Either way, please don't eat the foam clay, guys. It's just not going to end well, is it? And then I'm going to try and chop this up. Let me try and get some tools. So from previous misadventures with foam clay, I found out that using like wooden tools or plastic tools doesn't always work. I don't know whether it's the foam clay I'm using, I don't know whether it's user error, which is quite likely, but I do find that the wooden tools especially do tend to stick to the foam clay. I don't have any problem using them with like sort of general normal clay or epoxy clay, but with the foam clay they really don't seem to work. So what I've got is a very old and messy looking I think this is called, is it a palette knife? You use them for like painting. They're like a painting type of knife. So I'm going to use this and just try and cut them up. I guess you could use a knife, couldn't you? But I don't want to end up with like pretend foam clay cucumber mess on my actual knives that I'm going to be cutting up my food with, because it doesn't strike me as a good idea health-wise. So I'm just going to try and chop this up now. Get rid of that end bit, and then I'm just going to chop in little slices and hopefully it'll look like cucumber. Right, so obviously at the moment they just look a bit of a green mess, so what I'm just going to do is try and flatten them out and make them look more like a sort of slice of cucumber. And I mean, I don't think they look unlike a cucumber. I think they're going to need a little bit of messing about with, perhaps, but yeah. So there's the cucumbers all done. I'm just going to leave them to dry and see what they look like when they're dry. I was thinking I might also try and go in with some paint or some gel pens or a biro or something and maybe make some marks, because obviously like the tomatoes that have seeds and things inside them, cucumbers do have things like that. But the cucumbers do look kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Delicate? I don't know, like the seeds, they're quite like transparent. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get that look, really. I think it might be best just leaving it as is. We'll see what they look like when they're dry and then deal with that problem then. Now we have lettuce, which is quite another problem. My backup option is to use tissue paper torn up. I think that might look a little bit like lettuce, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to have a go with the foam clay. So I think what I'm going to do is just like trying to pull it out into like flattened pieces. And try and just like make it as thin as possible. You kind of want it to look a bit jagged, do you know what I mean? Like lettuce. I don't know whether that looks like lettuce to you or not, but I think it looks like it's lettuce adjacent. If maybe you've never seen a piece of lettuce before. I don't know what other ways there are of doing this. I think, as I said, with the wooden tools, they make things stick. So if I try to use something like a rolling pin to flatten it out, I think that wouldn't work. So yeah, I'm just basically sort of teasing it out with my fingers into like these little pulled, not the easiest thing to try and explain or show, but trying to pull it out. It's just these little, just flattened, sad little pieces of foam clay. I don't know whether they'll look quite as sad ones that are actually dried. So there we have our lettuce, our tomato and our cucumber. But let's just see what they look like when they're dried. Sometimes they dry and they go a bit kind of weird. They sort of puff up with the foam clay. I don't know if anyone out there has used it. I'm sure some people have used foam clay. Do let me know about your experiences with foam clay, because just, maybe it's me, but it just doesn't seem very user-friendly. We'll see what they're like when they're dried, and then we'll reassess the situation and see what we need to do from there. So I was quite happy with how the lettuce turned out. It did stick a bit to the wood that I'd left it on. Again, I don't know why I don't follow my own rules. I'd already established that wood was causing utter chaos, and I was like, that's fine, I'll just rest it on some wood. It won't stick, will it? It stuck. But it did sort of tear a little bit, but again, it just seemed to add to the fact of it sort of being a bit of a kind of rustic lettuce looking thing. Maybe you don't think it looks like lettuce, but it looks enough like lettuce for my liking, so I just left that as is. I wasn't sure what to do with the cucumber, and I did have a try drawing lines on it, but it just looked a bit of a mess and just seemed to look less like cucumber the more I did to it, so I just left it as it was in the slices. And I think it looks believable as cucumber. And then the tomatoes. I did have a play around with a few methods, but I found these brown like rollerball ink pens and then drew like just like a sort of starburst effect on, which did look like the seeds in the inside of a tomato slice, and I was really happy with how that worked out. So now we have our full salad and we can put it all together. And here we have our finished salad, and I'm really happy with how this worked out. I think it looks really cute. I think it looks believable as a salad, which is the main thing really, isn't it? But does it taste good? We'll have to wait until the end to see what Mabel thinks of the food, but let's move on to the pudding now. Whoa, 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 we haven't made any bread yet. Calm down. Let's get on with the carbs. So in terms of the bread, I wanted to emulate a sort of like fancy... Boulangerie is not the word. Do they make meat? Bakery? What's the French for bakery? Is it... I don't know why I'm trying to be French, guys. It's just... Fancy bread. Here's a picture of some bread. So I was going to go with this, like, you know when you put it in the oven, it sort of all whooshes up and like cracks and looks all like fancy, rather than that stuff that's just in a packet and just looks like slices of pretend bread. You know what I mean? A rustic French loaf thing. I mean, it's definitely gonna be rustic if I'm involved in it. So I wasn't sure what to do because I didn't have any like clay that was the right colour, so I mixed up yellow and orange and black until I got a sort of brownish colour. I mean, as we all know from being at school and trying to paint things and thinking, oh, I'm going to mix all these colours, it's going to look so exciting and magical, and just everything turns out brown. So I thought, if I keep mixing, something's going to end up brown, isn't it? And we ended up with some brown clay in the end. I basically just sort of moulded this into round shapes. I then made a cross in the top of the bread just using a small pen knife. And after drying it looked pretty cool too. As I said before, just wooden tools just seem to cause epic chaos, so using the metal tools seems to be the way forward for me with foam clay. I don't know if you found the same. Any tips about foam clay, guys, feel free to let me know, because I'm just clueless. Frankly, that is not restricted to foam clay, but moving on. Ooh la la, a nice French dessert. So for the actual body of the profiterole, I've used that same brown clay that I mixed before for the bread and just rolled that into a small ball. And then in terms of the topping, instead of using chocolate like you would with a normal profiterole, I'm going with an icing. I have seen this done in films. I think the Grand Budapest Hotel does something similar. I don't know what they're calling that. But yeah, I was going to try and use some icing. I think it just adds a bit more colour and fun to the meal, because, I mean, frankly, no one's eating this. We may as well make it look nice. That's the main thing. And, of course, making it look vaguely like food. So yeah, in terms of the icing, what I've done is roll out a smaller ball of foam. I've gone with some pink because I think it just looks nice and jazzy. And then I've flattened that out into a disc and then just spread that over the top of the profiterole. And I mean, it doesn't look bad, but I do think it looks more like a bun or a cupcake or a fairy cake or whatever your variation of that is in whatever country you're in. But I mean, it's not bad, is it? I mean, who doesn't like a bun? So I did try and jazz it up a little bit and got this gel pen out and tried to make some dots on it with this gold. I thought it might look a bit like, you know, them sort of like sparkly ball bearing things that aren't ball bearings. They're like, just, I assume sugar and enums in a pot that you put on cakes. I don't really think that came across, to be honest. So I just stuck with the little pink buns. I think they're like buns. I don't think we've accomplished profiteroles. That is clearly far too advanced for my for my abilities. But like, who doesn't like a bun? As I say, it's fine. So there we have all our lovely food made. But the main thing is, what does it taste like? Now, frankly, I am not eating foam clay. Please do not eat foam clay, guys, in case that was not already very obvious. But the lovely Mabel is very excited to tuck into her meal. So let's see what she thinks. And Mabel seems to be very much enjoying the food there. I hope you enjoyed watching that video. I do drop videos every second Sunday, so do make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date about all things animation, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye!